A very warm welcome everyone. Today in this class, we will be continuing the chapter Gases, Unit 16 under the subject Science and Technology, Class 9. I've already taught you 3 gases up to now, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen. And today you will be studying about one very important gas that is crucial for our survival of every living beings in the entire planet. So, without further ado, grab your notebooks and pen and let's get started. So, atmosphere. What is an atmosphere? Atmosphere is the gases that surrounds the earth, and it consists of mainly nitrogen, as I mentioned in the previous classes, oxygen, and along with small amounts of other gases as well, like hydrogen, carbon dioxide, etc. And these atmosphere consist of layers. And the first layer that is present very close to the Earth's surface is troposphere. And above troposphere, we have stratosphere, then mesosphere, then thermosphere, and then the final layer is exosphere. Now let us study each of this layer individually. So troposphere. Troposphere extends from the Earth's surface up to an altitude about 12 kilometers. So from the surface of the Earth, it ranges up to 12 kilometer height. So troposphere is the first layer. And in this layer, different climatic activities such as rainfall, thunders, etc. occurs. And this is the layer where we all living organisms, we live and we breathe in the air and gases present in this layer. The hot air balloons and airplanes that we use to travel or for entertainment purpose, they all fly in this layer because this layer provides all the necessary conditions that is important for an efficient and safe air travel. So above our troposphere, we have stratosphere. This layer extends from 12 kilometers from the Earth's surface. Below 12 kilometers, there is troposphere, and after 12 kilometers up to 50 kilometers, we have stratosphere layer. And in this layer, a very important layer is present, that is a layer of ozone gas, which we will be studying in detail later on. So, stratosphere is the layer that is home to the ozone layer. The ozone layer, it shields the earth from harmful UV radiation and protects all the life present in the earth. That's why this layer is very important. So, ozone layer resides in the stratosphere layer. Now, the layer that is present above the stratosphere is mesosphere. And this layer extends from 50 kilometers above the Earth's surface to 80 kilometers above the Earth's surface. And in this layer, when meteors, as you can see in the figure, when they come from outer space, when the air enter into the Earth's atmosphere, this layer breaks it down into pieces so that it does not harm the life present in the Earth. And when this is occurring, when we look at the sky, when the meteor is falling down, it gives us a visual phenomenon known as a shooting star. So this is another layer. Above mesosphere, we have thermosphere. It extends from the altitude of 80 kilometers, reaching up to 700 kilometers from the Earth's surface. And in the night sky, you can see all those auroras of lights, also known as now northern and southern lights. So these all can be seen from the thermosphere layer. And in thermosphere, the lower part of the thermosphere contains ionosphere. In this layer, in the ionosphere, in the thermosphere, there's ionosphere. And in this ionosphere, the molecules of gases, as I mentioned earlier, oxygen and nitrogen, they remain in a molecular state. And similarly, other gas, chlorine, fluorine as well. So the molecules of gases does not exist in this layer, but how they exist is they exist in an individual atomic form. So O2 does not exist, it exists as O and another O molecule. After thermosphere, we have exosphere. It is the outermost layer of the atmosphere, and this region slowly transition into the vacuum of space. And in this layer, the satellites and other human-made objects orbit around the Earth, and it extends from about 700 kilometers to 10,000 kilometers up from the Earth's surface. Now we have already studied all the layers of atmosphere that surrounds the Earth. Now let us study a little more about ozone gas. So ozone is a triatomic compound. So tri means three, atomic means atom. So ozone is a triatomic compound of oxygen. So three atoms of oxygen forms a ozone molecule. So that's why it is a triatomic compound, and it is blue in color in the gaseous state, and in the liquid state it becomes dense blue color. So here in the figure you can see that three atoms of oxygen forms a molecule of ozone. And how they occur in a molecular state? They share the electron present in its outermost orbit to reach the stable octet state. So here you can see these both oxygen shares 2 electrons each from the outermost orbit, forming double bond between the two molecules, two atoms of the molecules. And to this one oxygen atom, this middle oxygen atom has given its 2 electrons from its outermost orbit. So that's why we have indicated it by the coordinate covalent bond over here. So this is how an ozone molecule stays in a gaseous state. So ozone is also an allotrope of oxygen. So what is an allotrope? Allotropes are different structural forms of the same element in the same physical state. So what this means is we have oxygen and ozone, oxygen molecule and ozone molecule. So they are made up of same element, oxygen, and they also stay in the same physical state, that is gaseous state. So oxygen molecule and ozone molecule are made up of same element and they stay in the same physical state. But you can see that the structure of oxygen molecule and ozone molecule is different. So what is an allotrope? Different structural forms. You can see they have different structural forms, but they are made up of same element, that is oxygen, and they stay in the same physical state, that is gaseous state. That's why ozone is known as an allotrope of oxygen. Now let us study about how this ozone layer forms. So when an oxygen molecule is exposed to the UV radiation from the sun, it dissociates into nascent oxygen. Nascent oxygen means single atom of oxygen which is highly reactive. So how this happens is, this is a molecule of oxygen and the UV radiation breaks this bond and separates the two atoms of oxygen. In the chemical reaction, we can indicate as O2 molecule. When it is exposed to ultraviolet rays, it gives us 2 nascent oxygen. And this nascent oxygen, what it does is, it reacts with oxygen molecule and in the presence of UV radiation from the sun, and it forms ozone. So how it occurs is, when a nascent oxygen, which is highly reactive, when it reacts with oxygen molecule, it shares 2 electrons, it gains 2 electrons, but from the oxygen atom of the molecule, one oxygen atom of the molecule, it shares 2 atoms forming a coordinate covalent bond and forms the oxygen molecule. We can represent it like this in the chemical reaction. O2 oxygen molecule reacts with nascent oxygen to form ozone. Now let us summarize all of this. What happens is, the oxygen molecule dissociates into nascent oxygen in the presence of ultraviolet rays, and that nascent oxygen, it reacts with another oxygen molecule in the presence of ultraviolet rays to form one single ozone molecule. So this ozone molecule forms a thick layer in the stratosphere, and it extends from 20 kilometers to 40 kilometers from the surface of the Earth. So from the surface of the Earth to here, this is all our stratosphere, and it extends up to 50 kilometers. And the ozone layer starts from 20 kilometers from the Earth's surface, and another 20, making it 40 from the Earth's surface. So ozone layer resides inside the stratosphere layer. Now as ozone is formed, Simultaneously, it is also dissociated by the same UV radiation. So ozone molecule, when it is exposed to UV radiation, it again dissociates into oxygen molecule and nascent oxygen. And again, this nascent oxygen reacts with oxygen molecule and forms ozone. So this phenomenon occurs simultaneously and continuously up in the stratosphere layer. So why is ozone layer important for us? The ozone layer, it absorbs all the harmful rays that reach the surface of the earth. So if the harmful radiation reaches the surface of the earth, it causes various disease to all the life present on the earth. So this ozone layer, it prevents all the life from suffering from various disease due to the radiation exposure from the sun. That's why it is also known as a protective layer. So ozone layer is also known as a protective layer because it protects us from the harmful radiation. Another important thing is the harmful radiation that it shields, it shields, if it had reached the Earth's surface, then it would have destroyed the ecosystem. So, since it does not let that harmful radiation reach the surface of the Earth, the ozone layer helps to prevent the destruction of ecosystem, and then it keeps the balance of life in the Earth. Another important thing that it does is, since it blocks away harmful radiation, it only allows a few amount of radiation to enter into the earth that is crucial for life on earth. So it maintains the temperature as it allows only a required amount of radiation to reach the surface of the earth. Hence, it keeps the earth's temperature moderate so that life on earth is possible. So, what is depletion of ozone layer? The process in which the layer of ozone that is present in the stratosphere becomes thinner and thinner, that process is known as ozone layer depletion. Here you can see that this ozone layer has been depleted, that is, became thinner and thinner, hence it is represented by a dotted line in this region. So, this is known as ozone layer depletion. So the main chemical compound that causes depletion of ozone layer is chlorofluorocarbon. There are various other compounds such as methyl chloroform, carbon tetrachloride, methyl bromide, oxides of nitrogen, etc. But among all of these chemicals, the chlorofluorocarbon is the most crucial chemical compound that is the major cause of depletion of ozone layer. So how all of this chemical compound depletes the ozone layer is the highly reactive nonmetals present in all of these compounds like chlorines and bromines. What they do is it reacts with the ozone present in the ozone layer and it dissociates it. So it depletes the ozone layer in that way. The highly reactive nonmetals present in this compound does that. So let us look at detail in how it happens by taking an example of chlorofluorocarbon, which is the major cause of depletion of ozone layer. So when a molecule of chlorofluorocarbon, that is CFCl3, is exposed to UV radiation, it dissociates into CFCl2 and gives us a nascent chlorine. And this nascent chlorine is highly reactive. And what it does is it reacts with the ozone layer that is present in the stratosphere. So the nascent chlorine reacts with a ozone molecule, and what it does it breaks down the ozone molecule. It gives us a molecular oxygen, that is O2, and with another oxygen atom it reacts with it to form chlorine monoxide. And after forming chlorine monoxide, which is represented by ClO, it again dissociates to give us a nascent chlorine. And this nascent chlorine again continues the same cycle, that is, attacks another ozone molecule and dissociates it, forming a chain of reaction. So, one nascent chlorine is responsible for the destruction of thousands of ozone molecules. So, let us summarize all of these reactions. So when chlorofluorocarbon is exposed to UV radiation, it breaks down into CFCl2 and nascent chlorine. This nascent chlorine reacts with ozone molecule to give us chlorine monoxide and oxygen molecule. And this chlorine monoxide again dissociates to give us nascent chlorine and oxygen molecule. This nascent chlorine again attack the another ozone molecule, and a chain of reaction occurs. That's why nascent chlorine is the one single nascent chlorine is responsible for destruction of thousands of ozone molecules. Some of the technological advanced products that we used in our daily life, such as air conditioners and refrigerators, if they release chlorofluorocarbon, and during the manufacturing of plastics, the chlorofluorocarbon is also released, and in the spray paints, the bottle spray, it also releases the chlorofluorocarbon, and this chlorofluorocarbon is the reason for the depletion of ozone layer. So what are the effects of the depletion of ozone layer? So effects on human health. What it does is the UV radiation directly enters the Earth's surface, the harmful UV radiation. If the ozone layer is very thin or there is a hole in the ozone layer, then the harmful radiation, it reaches to the surface of the Earth and may cause cataract of the eye, or it may also cause skin cancers, itching of eye or itching of skin. So these are all the effects of the ozone layer depletion on human health. Not only in human health, in plant, what it does is the harmful radiation which the ozone layer would have shielded us if it was not depleted, if it reached the surface of the Earth, it stops the growth of the plant. And another thing what it does is it also decreases the rate of photosynthesis in the plant. So if the rate of photosynthesis is decreased and the growth of plant is stopped, the agricultural products amount will decrease as well. So what will happen is, if there is loss of plant species due to the harmful radiation that directly enters on the Earth's surface, what it does it reduces the global food supply. So since plant is food for all the organisms present on the Earth, directly or indirectly, so if there is loss of plant species, then it leads to the reduction of global food supply. Hence, the entire ecosystem will be imbalanced. Another effect of ozone layer depletion is ozone layer only allows certain amount of radiation that is necessary to maintain the temperature of the Earth. It only allows that amount of radiation. But if the ozone layer is depleted, extra amount of radiation enters into the Earth as well. So what happens is it increases the temperature of the Earth. So the temperature of the Earth increases. So what happens after the temperature of the Earth increases is the ice caps that is present in the cold region, it starts to melt, and the habitat and the organisms such as polar bears and etc., penguins that lives in those cold regions, their life is also affected. And not only that, since the ice caps melt, it increases the level of water in the seas and ocean. And what it does is, if the level of water increases, it causes flood in all the coastal areas that is very close to seas and oceans. So these are the effects of ozone layer, and we have already studied all these harmful effects of ozone layer depletion. So we must also learn ways to how to protect the ozone layer. So how we can protect ozone layer is, we can reduce, minimize or completely ban the use of devices that produces chlorofluorocarbon. And if we have to use certain products as such, then we can replace the chlorofluorocarbon with another chemical compound such as hydrofluorocarbon, so that we can protect the ozone layer. Another thing what we can do is, we can reduce the use of nitrogenous fertilizer, because nitrogenous fertilizer is also a source of oxides of nitrogen that causes depletion of ozone layer. So if we minimize the use of nitrogen fertilizer, in that way we can also protect our ozone layer. Another thing what we can do is, we can reduce the use of vehicle that works on petroleum. So since these vehicles releases various compound that contains oxides of nitrogen and that depletes the ozone layer, so we should minimize the use of vehicle that runs by petroleum, and we should promote the use of vehicle that works by electricity. Now, these are all the ways we can protect our ozone layer. We have already studied about various layers of atmosphere that is present around the earth. We also studied about ozone gas and where the ozone layer is present on the atmosphere, as well as how the ozone molecule is formed and how it is destroyed, how we can protect the ozone layer, and what is the cause of ozone layer depletion. So now let us test our knowledge by trying to solve a few questions. Now, statement: chlorofluorocarbon is the major chemical substance which is responsible for the depletion of ozone layer. The first argument is fluorine contained in this compound depletes the ozone. And the second argument is O, O2 and O3 represents nascent oxygen, oxygen molecule and ozone respectively. And these are the four options among which one of them is correct. The options are: only the statement is correct, only argument 1 is correct, both the arguments are correct, or the statement and the argument 2 are correct. Now let us study about individual statements and argument to know which is correct and which is incorrect. The statement: chlorofluorocarbon is the major chemical substance which is responsible for the depletion of ozone layer. Is this right? Yes, it is correct, because I've already mentioned previously, among various chemical compounds, chlorofluorocarbon is the major chemical substance that causes the depletion of ozone layer. So the statement is correct. Now let us check if the arguments are correct as well or not. Argument 1. Fluorine contained in this compound depletes the ozone. Is this true? No, it's not true. Why? Because from this reaction you can see that chlorofluorocarbon, when it is exposed to UV rays, it gives us CFCl2 and nascent chlorine. This nascent chlorine is responsible for the reaction with ozone molecule and dissociation of ozone molecule. So this argument 1 is incorrect, because it is not fluorine that is contained in chlorofluorocarbon that depletes the ozone, but it is chlorine that is responsible for the depletion of ozone that is present in the chlorofluorocarbon. So our argument 1 is incorrect. Now argument 2. O, O2 and O3 represents nascent oxygen, oxygen molecule and ozone respectively. Is this true? Yes, it's true, because O means single atom of oxygen, which is also known as nascent oxygen. O2 is a molecule of oxygen, which I've already explained to you in detail when I was teaching you oxygen gas. And O3 is ozone. Ozone is a triatomic compound that contains 3 atoms of oxygen. That's why O3 is also ozone. So O is nascent oxygen, O2 is oxygen molecule, O3 is ozone. That's why argument 2 is correct. So the right answer is number 4. That is, the statement and argument 2 are correct. Now let us solve another question as well. Find the correct and incorrect arguments from the following. The arguments we have is: ozone layer is present in the outermost layer of atmosphere. 2 oxygen molecule combines to form ozone molecule. Nascent chlorine produced by the decomposition of chlorofluorocarbon depletes the ozone present in the atmosphere. And methyl chloroform, methyl bromide and carbon tetrachloride also depletes the ozone layer. Now let us see if the first argument is correct or incorrect. Ozone layer that is present in the outermost layer of atmosphere. Is it true? No, it's not true, because I said that ozone layer resides in the stratosphere, and stratosphere is the second layer of the atmosphere that resides right above the troposphere. So ozone layer is present in stratosphere, which is the second layer of the atmosphere. So the first statement is incorrect. Ozone layer is not present in the outermost layer of atmosphere. Now the another argument. Two oxygen molecule combines to form ozone molecule. Is this true? Let me give you a hint. So how did ozone layer formed? During ozone layer formation, the oxygen molecule was dissociated by the ultraviolet rays to form two nascent oxygen. And this nascent oxygen and one molecule of oxygen reacted in the presence of ultraviolet rays to form the ozone molecule. So did two oxygen molecule combine to form ozone molecule? No. So that's why the second statement is also incorrect, because one oxygen molecule and one nascent oxygen reacted to form the ozone molecule, but not two oxygen molecules. So statement 2 is also incorrect. Now statement 3. Nascent chlorine produced by the decomposition of chlorofluorocarbon depletes the ozone present in the atmosphere. Is this true? Yes, it's true, because from this reaction that we studied earlier about the depletion of ozone layer, what happened is chlorofluorocarbon in presence of UV rays gave us CFCl2 and nascent chlorine. And this nascent chlorine reacted with the ozone molecule, and it dissociated it into oxygen molecule and chlorine monoxide. And this chlorine monoxide dissociated to form nascent chlorine and oxygen molecule. And this nascent chlorine again reacted with another ozone molecule, forming a chain reaction. So that's why nascent chlorine produced by the decomposition of chlorofluorocarbon, it depletes the ozone layer present in the atmosphere. So that's why this statement is correct. Now the final argument. Methyl chloroform, methyl bromide and carbon tetrachloride also depletes the ozone layer. Is this true? Yes, it is true, because these are the four chemical compounds that I explained to you earlier. Chlorofluorocarbon, which is the major cause of depletion of ozone layer. And then after that, methyl chloroform, carbon tetrachloride and methyl bromide is also responsible for the depletion of ozone layer, because the highly reactive nonmetals such as chlorine and bromine present in these compounds, it dissociates, that is, it breaks down the ozone molecule. So that's why methyl chloroform, methyl bromide and carbon tetrachloride are also the chemical compound that depletes the ozone layer. So the fourth statement is also correct. So what we learned in today's class is about the layers of atmosphere. We also studied where the ozone layer is present among all the layers of atmosphere. We also studied what kind of compound is ozone, ways in which ozone is formed in the atmosphere, how the ozone is depleted, and the reason of depletion of ozone layer. We also studied about how the destruction of ozone layer occurs and how we can protect the ozone layer. So I hope you understood everything that I taught today, and I'll see you guys in the next class.